everybody. Good afternoon. This is Ann Sheehan with Real Property Tax Advisors. Delighted to be back with you today to talk about our next topic in our vlog series, Property Tax 2021. We have talked in prior vlogs about the pandemic, the fact that it has not missed anybody. It's been totally inclusive, including the jurisdictions, and we're seeing already in 2020 a lot of positioning that I think will be much stronger as we go into 2021. So the business strategist and all of us should be to prepare for property taxes in 2021 now, as we are seeing what's going to happen, and that gives us a runway for us to be ready when it hits the fan, basically, for lack of a better word. So what I want to do in the next couple of blogs is talk about different property types. And, because these classifications, office, hotel, industrial, apartments, retail, everybody has their own metrics. They have their own way of valuing the assets. So I'm going to start with office because we have a lot of offices. We have small offices, we have the really tall mega tower offices, we have suburban, we have urban, we have all different types of offices. But what I want to talk today about is where we are right now. We're almost at the end of the third quarter, and what I think is going to play out for the rest of the year and roll on into next year. As of this summer, we had over 50% of all employees working from home. And a lot of that was started back in the spring, as all of you know, because you're probably working from home like I am as well. A lot of that started with governmental orders to shelter in place. And so our companies scrambled, for lack of a better word, and made sure we were all equipped with the technology and the tools that we needed to be able to work from home. And so that we were compliant with the work from home or shelter in place orders, but the companies still kept running and work kept getting done. So that was accomplished literally by this whole idea of work from home, or hashtag WFH. So the landlords have had a concern. I brought this up in an earlier vlog that we're back to May of last year, out of biz now. So work from home is here. Why aren't the landlords more worried? Well, fast forward 6 months later, and the landlords are very concerned about the longevity of work from home, and when businesses are going to come back. When are they going to show back up? And that at the beginning of the summer, we'll go back June 1, then it was July 1, then it was August 31st. Now most companies have pushed off returning to the office until next year, January, February. And it just highlights the fact that this pandemic is not a short-term deal. It's a long-term impact on the value of all of our buildings, particularly our office buildings, because a majority of the population for this pandemic was going to work in an office building every day. And that's how we did our work. That's where we socialized. That's where we spent 8 to 12 hours a day. It was a huge part of our lives, and a very influential part of our lives. Lots of face-to-face, lots of collaboration, lots of strategizing, lots of teamwork. We have that now on Zoom, for which we're very grateful. But Zoom is still Zoom. It's a video. It's not you and me looking at each other in the eye and figuring out how to solve property taxes for 2021. A lot of companies have gone out of business. A lot of companies are looking down the runway and seeing that as actually a very strong possibility. People whose leases had come up for renewal, A lot of them just didn't renew. They left. They were like, we're not comfortable committing to another 3, 5, or 10-year term, no matter what the landlord was offering. There's some tenants who are fine staying in the building, keeping their space, but maybe they're asking to cut it in half because they want to open some more suburban office space because everybody's working from home. We have one client who pronounced this summer that corporate America had just finished the greatest business experiment of all time. And that was being shut down with shelter-in-place orders and learning to work from home. And as a result of that, he is now closing the Chicago headquarters, or not closing, but minimizing it from 4 or 5 floors in a prime downtown Chicago office building to half a floor, just for meetings. He doesn't need the rest of it, and he knows he doesn't. He's been through 120 days with it. So the office use is changing, and it's really finally catching landlords' attention. So from the landlord perspective, what can we do to maintain value in our buildings? Well, the landlords have been able to increase TI allowances. They're trying to work with these companies. They're offering shorter term leases, maybe instead of a 5-year lease, a 3-year with an option to renew for 2 more at a formulaic rate. They're offering free rent on the back end of the lease. There are all sorts of things that landlords have always been able to do. But what we're having trouble doing is actually generating enough revenue to cover our operating expenses as the owners of the building and to maintain our value of the building. Oh, and cover our debt, cover our mortgage. So operating expenses and mortgages have become more and more problematic. And then we have to keep the doors open. We need tenants. Well, the tenants have made it very clear that they don't want to come to a building unless it's healthy for their employees. Safe, clean, and healthy. Well, the amount of money that has been spent by landlords and owners to make an office healthy is unbelievable. One company spent over $49 million making a building safe and healthy so that tenants and their employees would actually come back to work. So, and I think aside from all that, landlords have also been extremely good about recognizing these changes in the market and making some physical changes to office space as a whole. So the theme has been de-densification, new word. We're redesigning spaces to ensure social distancing. So it's spreading things out, it's taking out walls, it's putting up, what do you call them? The plastic shields, where you can still see, but you're protected from airborne particles. It's spreading the density. They're also encouraging high density tenants to maybe come in shifts. This group comes in 2 days a week. This group comes in 2 other days a week. There are all sorts of strategic changes in how the tenants are working with the landlords to keep the buildings operating and running so expenses can be paid and mortgages, but also to adjust to the new normal. And all of this is great, but how does it affect property tax? It affects it in so many different ways, but let's get to the basics. So first of all, I talked about keeping tenants. Well, the fact of the matter is that any so many tenants, their companies have gone bankrupt. They're out. There's nothing you can do. They're gone. We have a lot of tenants who are, as I said earlier, looking down the runway and very concerned that they can even stay open, much less pay rent on the space. And then we have the company who really wants to stay and operate, but it has to look entirely different. So everything I talked about landlords doing, whether it's the cleaning, whether it's the creating a healthy well space, offering TI dollars to make these new de-densification space designs available, all of that has cost money. And you know, it's kind of like this phrase that I heard about American business after this pandemic got started. You know, it's not just in time anymore, it's just in case. We're actually having a whole new mindset. We're not doing things just in time, which has been the American way forever. But now we're taking a little different look and we're planning for the just in case. Think how different we would be as Americans in a pandemic if somebody had thought, just in case we needed a vaccine for this virus, and maybe had it or already started working on it. That's what I mean by that. I think you will, I think demand will gradually go up. I don't think you'll really see significant numbers until next year. But in terms of property tax, what we can do is clearly by the end of this year, we'll have 9 months worth of data, worth of income and expenses, CapEx changes, TI, all these additional expenses that you as landlords have had to lay out just to keep tenants in your building, just to keep revenue coming in. Those are extraordinary expenses, and that you would not have made those, certainly not in this short period of time, if there hadn't been a pandemic. So we need to keep track of all of those expenses and every extra penny you've had to put out just to keep somebody in and keep the lights on. You know, the appeals that we anticipate filing, they're going to be on the basic fundamentals, like I just said, vacancy, rent, increased cost, all that kind of thing. But it also needs to have an element in the appeal of external obsolescence. Because at the end of the day, this pandemic has decreased the value of your office building, whether it's a 3-story walk-up or 52 stories high. The pandemic has affected the value of your building. And remember, the law in all 50 states requires taxation of real property at fair market value. The fair market value of your property has changed in 2020 and in 2021. So we need to get ready to be able to present that argument, quantify it for the jurisdictions as that's not their expertise, and get you the reduction that you need on your largest operating expense to help you recover. So we need to plan in advance. We need to do a few other things. If you listen to one of the earlier blogs, I actually give you some ideas. I think we need to be ready January 1 with our appeals, with our strategy. If we need to bring in additional resources such as attorneys, appraisers, or expert witnesses to value, I think we need to map it out. I think we need to know what we're going to do before that notice comes out. And you know what? What do I think the notices are going to come out at? We've been doing a lot of property tax budgets and estimated liability for acquisitions. And honest to goodness, I think most counties are going to come out. Some will increase. If you've had a building on some kind of a freeze for 3-5 years, whether it's a court freeze or a revaluation cycle, you're going to see an increase, and you're probably going to see a significant increase, and they'll justify that because, well, the pandemic happened in 2020. We're going to make up lost time from 18 forward. So I think those buildings will get a significant increase. I think that a lot of jurisdictions, they're in the same boat we are, guys. They don't know how all this is going to play out. So I think a lot of them will play it safe and maybe keep last year's assessment. Well, okay, let's think for a second. Last year, your building was 88% occupied. This year, you're down to, I don't know, pick a number, 40. Well, that value can't possibly be right, just on your occupancy alone. So we need to be ready with this information. So if they come out at the same value, don't just take it. Let's look at it and let's see what we can do in the event that it is actually above fair market value. And oh, by the way, we have no sales from 2020, so that's going to put another wrench in it. But there are ways to get this valuation work done. I want to thank you for hanging in there with me. Offices are a big, long topic, and we really just skimmed the top. But I hope you got some value out of this. And I look forward to joining you for my next vlog where we tackle hotels. Thank you. Have a great day.